So this video is intended to be a streamlined run-through of using manual integration to add UberMenu to your site. For a more thorough and detailed walkthrough, please refer to the other video, which will walk you through 3 different examples of using manual integration and a variety of nuances to get that set up. So with most themes, you'll be able to just use automatic integration, which means that UberMenu will just be able to replace a single menu on your site. The theme won't interfere with it, and that'll be the end of it. You'll be good to go. With some themes, even after you replace the menu, the theme still wraps that menu in a hard-coded HTML wrapper within the theme template, which isn't something that UberMenu can replace. And the result is that you have residual styles and scripting from the theme that still affect the menu even after UberMenu is activated. And those styles and scripts end up breaking UberMenu's layout and functionality. In that case, you need to actually manually replace the themes menu via UberMenu manual integration. So let's walk through how to do that. First, let's go ahead and install a theme that's going to require manual integration. So let's go to the popular themes list in the WordPress repository, and let's install MHPurity Lite. Okay, we're going to activate that theme. All right, and let's see what we get out of the box. So this is just, it's not even the themes menu, this is just a list of pages because we haven't assigned a menu yet. So let's go ahead and assign a menu to this theme's theme location, which is called main navigation. We're going to use our menu that we created in the UberMenu demo recreation tutorial series. And now let's take a look at the site. And this is this theme's default menu. This is not UberMenu. This is the menu that we're going to want to replace. Okay, so now let's attempt automatic integration with this. So we're going to go to the UberMenu control panel, and in the integration panel we will select main navigation to activate UberMenu upon. And now let's see what we've got. All right, at first glance it's looking pretty good. It's looking like UberMenu. But then if we take a look at the submenus, that's not looking right. That submenu's not opening at all. Some of them look okay, but it's pretty obvious in this mega menu submenu, we don't have any of the column content. Now when I hover over these column headers, that submenu content appears, but that's not how it's supposed to look. So that content is supposed to be visible at all times because it's a mega submenu. So maybe you're not sure whether your theme is interfering with the UberMenu or not. It's not always necessarily that obvious. So what you can do is you can compare it. If you go to the UberMenu control panel, you'll see this setting called direct injection testing. You don't want to use this as your live menu. It's just meant to test so that you can see what the menu will look like if it's not interfered with from your theme. So if we refresh, you'll see that this direct injection testing is going to add a menu to the top. We need to assign a menu to that theme location. Now you'll see there's an instance of UberMenu injected into the top of your site. Now again, you shouldn't use this menu because it's being placed in the footer and then being positioned as a fixed menu at the top of the site. But you can use this to compare. So you can see when we hover over Mega Menu, all of the submenus are displayed by default. The flyout menu appears, the images submenu actually appears, everything is working correctly. Now you do have to keep in mind that this submenu is going to be wider. The entire menu is going to be wider than your normal menu because it's not bound by your content area. But you can still compare for functionality and looks. You can see that this menu is functioning as intended. This menu is not functioning as intended, and therefore this menu is being interfered with from your theme. So we can take a look and see why that is. If we look at the code, we'll see that, so here's UberMenu. You can see where it starts with a nav element in the class UberMenu. And you can see that it's being wrapped by this nav element, and this nav element is from the theme. But the problem is this nav element is responsible for many of the styles in the menu. So if we look at the styles for the anchor, you can see that the theme styles are still applying, for example. And the submenus seem to be an even bigger deal. You can see that the theme is saying that the submenus should always be display none, and that's why when we're hovering over here, those submenus only appear when we hover over them. So we need to prevent those styles from applying when UberMenu is present. So we can see, we can actually test this out right in the DevTools here. If we remove this main nav class, you'll see that the menu situation immediately improves. Now our submenu column content is appearing, and so are our images here, and in general things are working just about as intended. So what we need to do is use manual integration to move the menu, this UberMenu, outside of that main nav element. So first we just need to track down where that element is within the theme. So we're looking for nav class equals main nav. So if we go to our theme files, and we're going to open up MHPurity-Lite, and generally the place you want to start is in the header.php, because almost all themes put the menu in the header. There are some exceptions, but 99% of the time this is where you want to look. And in this case, it's actually pretty easy. This is pretty much the only thing in the header file is the menu. It's not always the case, and a lot of times there's a lot more content, so what you're looking for is a call to WP nav menu with the theme location that you're using. In this case, we're using main nav. If you don't find it here, you can do a global search for WP nav menu or for the class that you're trying to replace. We go into a lot more detail in this subject on the other video, which is a lot longer. So what we want to do, now we could just delete this class. If we delete that and save and refresh, you'll see now those styles no longer apply because the main nav class is gone. Okay, but we want to have a more robust integration. We want a few things. We want for the menu to still work if you were to disable UberMenu. So right now, if we disabled UberMenu, that important class wouldn't be there, and you'd just get an unstyled list of elements, and we don't want that. So we want the menu to work with or without UberMenu. And B, we don't want our changes to be overwritten next time you update the theme. So to accomplish those two things, we're going to use some conditional logic to add UberMenu via manual integration, and we're going to make the changes in our child theme. Now, before we actually get into adding the manual integration code, I just want to quickly demonstrate how easy it is for a theme to actually support automatic integration instead of manual integration. So all we really need to do is make sure that this WP nav menu function outputs all the HTML that creates the menu. And instead of having this hard-coded wrapper around it, and then have so the theme's menu is based on this main nav class, but if that class were part of this WP nav menu output, then UberMenu could just very easily replace it, and then you wouldn't have to change anything in the theme. And that's actually something that the WP nav menu function handles without issue. So if we were to take this exact same code and simply add an extra parameter, and all these parameters are defined in the WordPress codex. I'll put a link in the description if you'd like to take a look at it. So by default, they're defining the theme location, which is great, but we can also define another parameter called container class, and we can set that to be main nav. Now, I'm not just pulling that out of thin air, that's the class we're using here, right? So now, this code here is going to create the exact same output as this block of code here, because now WP nav menu is going to be outputting a container with the class main nav. And actually, if we want it to be exactly the same, we'll also add this second class in here, clearfix. All right, so I'm going to save that, and now if we look at our theme, again, we have UberMenu disabled right now. So this is just the theme's standard menu. You can see that we have two menus because we've called WP Nav menu twice, and they're producing the exact same output. So if we inspect the source here, you'll see there's one slight difference, but so let's fix that right now. We're going to change the container. If you look here, our second one is using a div rather than a nav element. So we'll change the container to nav. And I'm going to refresh again. So we can see that the WP Nav menu function is fully capable of creating that main nav clearfix wrapper. So we've ended up with two of exactly the same menu, but we didn't need to use a hard-coded wrapper. And that means when we activate UberMenu automatic integration, now remember they're using the same theme location, so this is going to be activated on both menus. You'll see our top menu has a variety of problems because it's being wrapped by that main nav class, but our second menu works properly. And that's because the main nav class from that menu was being generated by WP Nav menu, so UberMenu is able to replace that entire block. There's no more wrapper to interfere with. So basically, if a theme chooses to use this code, having the WP Nav menu function generate the container rather than hard coding a container, then UberMenu is able to automatically replace that, and that's what automatic integration is. Now, there are also, just as a side note, there are plenty of themes that will hard code a wrapper that will provide position or layout for the menu, and that's absolutely fine. The issue is really just that whatever class or ID that the theme's menu's CSS is based on should be part of this WP Nav menu properties. So that way, when the theme is controlling the menu, it'll set its class and its styles will apply. And when UberMenu is controlling the menu, it can override those containers and classes and provide its own classes without having the theme's CSS interfere. So basically, by converting this into this, the theme will support automatic integration. So that's really why most themes do it this way. They leverage the capabilities that the WP Nav menu function offers. But some themes just don't leverage that. It's not that they're really necessarily doing anything wrong. It's just doing it this way is more modular and therefore provides more compatibility with plugins like UberMenu. So this is an option. If you wanted to rewrite your theme's code so that it uses the container class instead of having a hard-coded wrapper, you could absolutely do that. But sometimes it's a bit more complicated than this, so generally the most straightforward solution is just to use manual integration and say when UberMenu is present, use the UberMenu manual integration code, and when it's not, fall back to whatever the theme had hard-coded. That tends to be a more general solution. Okay, so now let's get into the actual manual integration process. So the first thing you want to do, let's just test out the manual integration in the parent theme. So if you go to your UberMenu settings panel and you scroll down to manual integration, you can select a specific theme location that you would like to use for manual integration. So we're going to choose the main navigation theme location. It produces the PHP that you need right here. So we just copy that and we come and paste it into our header.php. And this is going to produce two menus right now. And you'll now see, ignoring the direct injection menu at the top, we've now got two menus. The one that we just added via manual integration is working properly, and the original one is the one that's still having problems. So what we want to do is tell the theme to use UberMenu when the UberMenu plugin is enabled, and use the regular theme menu when it's not. So if we take a look at the manual integration instructions, you'll see that it provides this conditional logic code. So it's just if the UberMenu function exists, which means if the plugin exists and is activated, then call UberMenu. Otherwise, we'll use the theme menu. And then you need to add this end if at the end. So this is just a conditional statement that says if we're using UberMenu, show UberMenu. If we're not using UberMenu, show the theme menu. All right, so save that and go back to our site. And you'll see now we just have the one menu in the header, which is our UberMenu manual integration. And it no longer has an issue because it's not being wrapped in that main nav class. I'm also going to disable the direct injection testing at this point. Before I do that, I'll just show you. You can now compare and see that things are working the same in our main menu and our sort of control direct injection menu. All right, so uncheck the direct injection testing and save that to remove that menu. So now we've covered one of our things. We will make sure that the menu works with or without UberMenu activated. And when UberMenu is activated, the theme won't interfere. The second thing we wanted to do was create a child theme to make sure that our changes don't get overridden. So there are lots of tutorials online that'll walk you through creating your child theme. Some themes will include one, which is great because that's where you should be making any customizations to your theme. So a lot of good themes will include a child theme, especially premium themes. You can also use a plugin to automatically generate a child theme, but it's very easy to do by hand. So we're just going to run through it quickly. We want to create a child theme of MHPurity Lite. So in our themes directory, we're going to create a new folder. I'm going to call it MHPurity Lite Child. It's just it doesn't have to be named anything specific, but that's an easy way to identify it as being a child theme. And then the only file that a child theme must have is a style.css. So we're going to create a new file called style.css. And that style.css needs to have a specially formatted header so that WordPress can identify it as a child theme and figure out what parent theme it needs to load. So the easiest way to do this is just go to the parent themes style.css and copy this header and go back to the child theme style.css and paste it there. We'll then edit the theme name to call it MHPurity Lite Child. Everything else can really stay the same, but at the end we're going to add a new tag here called template. And we just need to give it the directory name of the parent theme. And in this case that is MHPurity Lite. Now, in most cases, we'll also need to import the parent theme style sheet. There's actually better ways to do that by enqueuing it, but the WordPress Codex recommends using @import, so we'll do that. But let's just see what we've got so far. So if we go to our dashboard and look at our themes, you'll see that we now have a new theme called MHPurity Lite. If we look at the details, you'll see that this is a child theme of MHPurity Lite. So let's activate MHPurity Lite Child. Now if we look at the front end of our site again, you'll see that we don't have any styles. Obviously, everything's completely unstyled, so we just want to import the parent themes style.css. So within the child theme style.css that we just created, we'll just say @import URL, and we'll go up one directory by using // and then choose MHPurity Lite, and we want the style.css. All right, save that file and refresh. And now you can see all our styles are back. Now we also need to assign a menu, because when you switch themes, the theme locations are considered to be independent. So even though it's technically the same theme location name, it's not actually the same theme location. So we need to reassign our menu. All right, and there is our menu. Now remember, we've made the change in the parent theme, so let's take a look at what it would be like if we hadn't done that yet. Let's undo what we did in the parent theme's header.php. This is the final code that we're going to want to use, so I'm just going to copy that off to the side for a minute. What we originally had in this file was just this. So if we look at our site now, you'll see that we are back to square one with the submenus that don't open and the improper mega submenus and everything out of place. So what we want to do is create a header.php in the child theme, and that will override the header.php in the parent theme. So in the child theme, we'll create a new file, call it header.php. We're going to copy the parent theme's header.php and paste it into the child theme's header.php. So at this point, we've done absolutely nothing. We've overridden the header.php, but nothing has changed. So just so that we can see what's going on, I'm going to write hello here. And you can see that that hello is printed because we're using the child theme. If we edit the parent header.php, if we edit the parent header.php, all right, bye, you'll see that that will not appear because that file is being overridden by the child theme. I'm going to leave the parent theme's header.php the way it is, and now we'll just go ahead and make our edits in the child theme. I saved these changes off to the side, so we'll just recreate them by pasting them in here. And now that because this header.php is loaded, our changes will show up on the site. And now you can see we have our menu working. All right, so all we did was add our manual integration code, display it conditionally, and we've put it in a child theme's header.php so that next time we update, all these files in the parent theme will be overwritten, but our file in the child theme will not be. Now the other thing you might have noticed is we might have actually lost a style that that we wanted here. For example, the font of the menu has changed. Before we did the manual integration, UberMenu is inheriting the font of the menu along with all the bad styles that were breaking things. So if you wanted to have a different font, you could just go back to the UberMenu customizer, and you could go ahead and change to, for example, a Google font. You could use whatever font you like. So for example, we could change it to a sans serif font this way instead of the font that it was inheriting from the theme's body. All right, so that's about it for a quick run through of the manual integration process. You can read the details in the knowledge base here. And if you need a more detailed walkthrough, there's a much longer tutorial that will walk you through every step of the way, and we go through a little more in depth how the menus are replaced within a particular theme and within a particular location in the layout. And we also go through 3 different examples, including this one, of themes that require manual integration in a few different ways, and how we identify where the root node issue is, and then find that spot within the theme and replace it with UberMenu manual integration. So I hope this has been useful.